Hey guys, I'm Cole, director here at Jubilee.
All right, well, again, we are on the set. Tell us a little about where we're at right now and what's going on.
So this is Odd One Out. It's one of our most popular shows. Basically, the premise of the game is like Mafia. There are like 6 people telling the truth and 1 liar, and the 7 people in that circle have to figure out who the liar is. It's up to them to like guide the discussion and ask whatever questions they want to try to figure out who the liar is.
So can you come over here and kind of give a shot of this over here? So this is like what's really popular, like when you see the lights. So explain to us the set and who came up with this and what's the concept of the different colors and how does that work?
Yeah, so someone before me actually came up with the concept, and like I said, she based it off of the game Mafia, which is a really popular game with like everybody.
Yeah.
And basically, at the end of each round, everyone votes on who they think the liar is or the mole, the odd one out, which is the name of our show.
Yeah.
And then a majority, whatever the majority vote is, that's who's out for the round. And then I ask if you want to keep playing. If you want to keep playing, you keep going. And at the very end of the game, whoever's left in the box, let's say there's like 3 people left. If the lights turn red, that means the liar is still among them. And the liar or the mole wins all the money to themselves. If the box turns green, that means they correctly voted the mole out, and then they get to split the cash prize.
Why do you think this show is so popular? Because the views that I'm seeing on each episode are, hundreds of thousands, 4 million, 17 million views. I mean, these are astronomical numbers. So what is the intrigue? Why do people love the show so much?
Yeah, well, I actually had no idea what this interview was going to be about, and I love that question. I love getting questions like that because we also try to analyze that every day too. We look at how long people are still watching our videos for, when did they click out. And I think this show is just so popular because there's that moment at the end, that reveal. And I think when there's a reveal that people have to wait for, there's just so many more views. And it also mixes in, it's a really fun game that people can play along with, but there's also a lot of value. Especially in the conversations that you guys have, it's so much fun, but also just so much that people get to learn about gang members being in a gang and how it's changed over the years. So there's just a space for people to be vulnerable, share stories, and also learn about,
I would agree, and I also think that it's, for the viewer, it's almost, how do you say it? It's so engaging because you're on your seat. I watched an episode. First of all, respectfully, I didn't even know about the show until after Mark reached out.
Oh yeah, because Mark did outreach. That's right. Yeah.
So then, but my daughters are huge fans. 24 years old, 22 years old. I'm old. I'm 46. And so I watched a couple episodes. There was the one where it was 6 black guys and 1 white guy.
Yeah, that one's hilarious.
Hilarious, and because you're watching the white dude right there, and you feel like you're like no. So I think there's an element of the show that draws the viewer in.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, kind of intoxicating. It was very. It was cool to see it before, and then to be part of it was exciting. But I think I overthought some of the things. All right, so how did you guys pick out this one with the gang members? Is there?
So I'm actually not a part of the team that decides on the episodes. We have a whole development team that kind of helps us come up with what topics are going to hit big views. And I think this is something they've just been wanting to do for a while. It's just kind of hard to cast, as you know.
Yeah.
But you guys were all amazing. I'm so happy that you were all open and felt like this was a safe space to share your stories. And like I said, there's just so much value in the conversations that you guys were able to have. So,
I appreciate it.
There's just I think we've done a few gang member episodes in the past, and we just realized there's a lot to learn from it too. And I think it's also just inspiring to hear why you guys are either not involved anymore.
And that's the thing that I really respect and I liked about this opportunity. Mm-hmm. I've turned down a lot of different things.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. Because just to glorify something or just to rehash something without a purpose, I just think it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
But if you're able to use this amazing platform to help educate somebody or help inspire somebody or help somebody to think twice before they prejudge somebody, I think the social responsibility is colossal with an organization like yours. And I was talking to Emma, and she said that you guys have a vision with Jubilee about. Can you share that about having the Disney? Yeah, it's about it's being the content you're creating. It's not just entertainment. It's for social change and evolution.
Yeah, so our CEO Jason has been sticking with the same mission since day one, which is just kind of creating a whole movement of change makers and just inspiring empathy. So even though this is a really fun game show that people get to play along with, it's really interesting to see what stereotypes are people listening for when they're trying to figure out who the liar is, because supposed to be a group of everyone who's like the same, you know.
Yeah.
So that you have to like you have to go based off of stereotypes to play the game. But then at the end, when the liars are revealed, that's the interesting part of the conversation where people are like, "Oh my god, like what I thought were stereotypes were wrong." And there are just so many different degrees of us, you know. So many, yeah.
100%. What goes into this on the director level?
Yeah.
Can you explain to the audience, like, how do you create an amazing show? Is it the cast? Is it the subject? Is it the actual thing, or is it a combination of everything?
It's definitely a combination of everything, like how well you guys play the game too. But I think from my standpoint as a director who's done a couple seasons of this show, I think it's definitely the cast. It's all you guys.
Okay.
Like we go through so many people, we listen to all their stories. Mark interviewed you, and then I get to like look at all the casting team's favorite picks. And what it comes down to is just people with really interesting stories, you know, people with all different backgrounds, and then also just like people who are willing to like be vulnerable, because I think, you know, that's kind of what helps us create that movement of empathy when people like get really vulnerable about their stories. You know?
Is that what the audience, the viewers, click on? Because that's such a great point. I never thought of it that way. It's like, if you're vulnerable, is it that if you're relatable, or is it interesting? What do you think is what the viewer is looking for? You know?
Yeah, I think at one point when Jubilee was a little smaller, like, you know, our main audience was looking for that stuff. But now, like, Jubilee has grown to be much bigger than I even imagined. I joined a long time ago before there were even 1 million subscribers, and now we have around like almost 8 million, I think.
Almost 8
I gotta
million
check that.
subscribers, yeah.
But anyways, now our audience is much bigger, so people just click on like what's interesting. And what we hope is that like now that we have a bigger audience, we can like secretly package like, you know, those moments of empathy and vulnerability, so people get some value away from our content too.
I have a question. How do you find the odd man out?
That's probably the hardest person to cast. And Jubilee and like me personally, I'm always rooting for the mole, so I'm always like looking for such a good liar. But we also try to make sure like they're somewhat related to the topic. Like the episode right before this, we did 6 black women and 1 secret Asian woman, so they're all blindfolded again.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to just like throw a random person in there. So actually, our Asian woman, who was the mole for that episode, she was a good player for it because she was actually adopted by a black family when she was super young and grew up in an entirely black community. And then like Shu, he got to tell his story in your guys' episode. Like he grew up with family in gangs, but like they all kind of inspired him not to join for the same reasons you guys all shared, which was amazing.
No, that was a good question.
Yeah.
So what did you think about this particular episode that we just did?
This one was good, and like a little behind the scenes things. I actually let the end run a little longer after Shu revealed himself, just because your guys' conversations are so interesting. There's just so much for me to learn too, and I think the audience. So we'll see how much of that makes it. But I mean, like I've never like done an episode with this topic before, so it's just so interesting to hear your guys' stories. All of you have different reasons for like no longer being active, all different reasons for joining. So I just love hearing it. It was good.
Well, I appreciate it. Last couple questions. What's the process now? So, you know, obviously today we came in, we shot the episode. You got the winners, plural. Can you just kind of share with us what's the creative process now from all the raw footage?
Yeah.
What happens now to be able to make that into one episode? And how long is the episode for?
So each episode's going to be like 10 to 15 minutes. And we have like, as you know, because you're just in it, there's like 2 hours of footage. And editors crank these out fast too. So they just go through like a few rounds of edits, then usually they're out within like a month or two. But it's taking those 2 to 3 hours, finding the best moments. You know, everyone on the team puts eyes on it, everyone gives notes to make sure it's like the best, most like, you know, we make sure there's value, entertainment, and making sure like those 10 minutes keep the audience hooked.
I love it. And my last question is this: for the audience that not the audience, for the people that are casted in this, right?
Yeah.
What type of opportunities do you see from them, like because of being on the show? Because I've talked to a couple people, and again, you know, phone calls, other people are trying to get involved. It's networking. You know what I mean? It's creating opportunities, creating inertia.
Well, like a lot of people too, like just to love to share their stories, and then a lot of them too, like you, like Gil, like Johnny, all of you guys have platforms, also like trying to inspire change in some way, shape, or form. So it's also like just really beneficial to get characters like you guys who actually do want to make change and, you know, get your face out there too.
Well, listen, first of all, you've been working very hard doing the director stuff. It means the world to me that you spared a couple minutes for us to have this behind the scenes. Thank you for allowing me to share in your guys' vision.
Nadi, thank you for coming.
Oh my gosh, this was definitely exciting, and watch. We're going to do a big push on the East Coast for this as well.
Hell yeah.
All right, so
Exciting.
Make sure you all subscribe.
Yes,
all right,
subscribe,
subscribe,
please.
subscribe.